All right, we're back at it with the $97 Walmart pizza grill, and why you saw in one of my videos where the pizza stone moved manually, but it wasn't working automatically. We ran into a problem that I went upstairs and was cooking, came back down, had the lid on, and the old pizza stone I had in here. So you can see that this is new, brand new round pizza stone, which I think is 15 inches actually, technically. The old one that I had for like, I don't know, 15 years had so much debris on it, or old sauce or what have you, just kind of, they always look a little bit dirty, right? Well, turned out my flame got out of control. I had the front lid on, which a lot of times you don't even need that front lid on. But anyways, I was upstairs cooking on a different floor outside, basically. And my pizza stone started on fire then. So between the back basket being fully hot, the pizza stone on fire, this thing was like over at 1,000 degrees. Well, when I opened up the front, I could see what was going on, and I'm like, holy cow, I got a, major firestorm going here. Then 5 seconds after I opened it up, what else happened? Tink! My pizza stone cracked in half. Because it was so damn hot in there, and I'm assuming, the cold air or the cooler air coming in cracked the stone in half. Now, it did not crack the stone in half at all, though, which was good to see. Now, this is the new one, of course. That it did not crack the stone. It cracked it along the edge. Nowhere where I put these drill holes in, which I'll show you what those are for. But, so that was the good news. So, anyways, I had to get a new pizza stone, and back to the drawing board on how and what happened to my automatic spinner then next. So here's my spinner, and you just got to be careful with these too, that there's two different size holes on these. Like this one that rotates up here, whether it's up or bottom, these holes are bigger than the bottom ones. So you got to be careful when if you're going to do this. Make sure when you mark it which holes you're going to be using for on the bottom, and then the ones for the top. Also, on a side note, I'm going to give you all the tips here, but it's going to go quick, hopefully. Once you get this, they're zinc plated. You've got to soak it in white vinegar. If you get 10% white vinegar, it'll go a lot faster, but I only had 5% white vinegar. It took about 2 or 3 days, and all the zinc coating comes off of it. Now, all those roller bearings are in there, and they all kind of look a little bit red now, like they're rusting or whatever, but they have no trouble moving. I don't know how long this is going to last, but we will see. All right, jumping back ahead to what was the issue with this unit. Let me just make sure. For my first invention. So again, we lay this down in here. We got 2 bolt holes. I only use 2 because you don't need that much. This isn't heavy duty what we're doing here. 2 holes. I drilled 2 holes here, and I lay the plate down there, right? Well, we have to have, there's going to be a shaft, a hole here in the center where the shaft, where the rotisserie comes up to the center, which the motor's down here. I got a battery operated motor, so this is completely, how should I say, low hassle, don't have extension cords. It works pretty well, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But so the shaft comes up, it's got a square end on it, which is right here. This little square end would come up through here, right? And then the motor's going to spin it down here. But how do we get this rotisserie thing to spin? So that's where this is like metal plumber's tape that already has holes cut in it. And basically what I did is I use a little file here, flat file, and just flattened it out on all sides that this would fit in there. Now again, it doesn't need to be super snug. I mean, these things aren't great fits regarding the rotisserie, but this one could have been a little bit tighter. But anyways, it spun fine. The problem is I had it glued onto her with high temperature glue to the top of this thing to spin it. Well, the glue can't handle the high temperatures that get in here, so it separated, and that's why it didn't. Second half of the one video, you didn't see the spinner going around. But the great thing about this is if it doesn't work, as long as you have your mid on, you put your finger through here, just as long as you have the rotating plate on there, it still works to rotate by hand. So you still have a fallback situation. But Anyway, so we had to come up with another device that would be it's actually a lot easier. I should have thought of it first, but there is a solution to this too. I hope this is getting on there well, that people can see what's happening. But so the other solution was finally that I came up with was that I took an old metal pizza pan and I laid this on top of the pizza pan. I took a marker, a little Sharpie marker, went around it on the pizza pan, an old pizza pan. Then I also marked the holes. Hole, 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 hole. Now remember, you stay loyal to which holes you're going to be using. These are going to be the holes that actually mate with the pizza pan. Okay, so then you pull this off, and you got your pattern. You got to outline. You got to cut your thin pizza pan. Again, a real thin pizza pan. You cut out that little square. You drill out just 2 holes. I don't even use 4. I just use 2 holes on the bottom, and then I'd use the 2 holes on the top for mating with this. And then the next invention that I came up with was taking the pizza pan, and then you put it on here, and you line up the 2 holes. Now with mine, I'm trying to remember which ones I had here. Looks like the small ones were on top. So I put 2 nuts through here. But before I jump ahead, so how do I get the center hole? I drew a line with a straight edge, corner to corner, corner to corner. Where they meet, I drilled a hole. And again, then I took my little flat edge file and I just flattened it out very lightly. This thing cuts it out pretty good. And so now this is going to be my spinner piece. As you can see, it's on there pretty good, and this will turn it. So I need to put this on here with my 2 little screws, my little knucklehead screws. I'll do one of these with your on here if you got the patience. Screw. Okay, and then you do the same thing with the other side. And again, the bottom piece is going to be bolted to the bottom of this, and then we're going to lay this in there. Let me hit pause while I put the other screws in here and show you. Okay, so now we've got these 2 bolts on here. Again, the 2 bolts that come up through here will mate with this plate, which again, before you do this, you highlight with the little circular holes on here where the center of the plate is, and then you put little marks with your pen, and then you're going to bore this little hole that's just big enough to fit that nut end in there, 1 on each side. Okay, and then it's going to fall right in there. That's it. And of course, when it's laying flat, it's a lot easier. Now, the one in the center is for the rotisserie point that has to poke through this a little bit. So the rotisserie is going to poke through here a little bit, right, to make positive contact. So I got to come through in here. It's got to have space to come through a little bit. So that's why those 3 are there like that. Okay. And then what else did I do is you line your hacksaw. I have a hacksaw, like a fine grade hacksaw. Line it up, all 3 of these lines, and then come to the edge and just make just a small notch there. Same thing on the other side. So this can be your guide when you're trying to light up these holes for the nuts. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put this in there, and then I don't want to have you watch me screw it in there the whole time, but so again, it's going to go in upside down look, because these nubs, and then I cut the screws off flush with this, so these are just the nuts that are sticking out. I line these up with my 2 holes that are back there, and again, I've got screws that were cut flush after I measured them that go through my holes in the bottom. hard to see. There you go. And I don't even tighten these that much. There we go. And I'm not even like snug, because you'll notice that it's got this big T, offset T in there, and it'll start bending them downwards. So now I've got the next one to put in over on this side. Maybe let's just leave this running. See how well this goes. There we go. Pretty simple to assemble. So that's laying on there now. Put the nut on there. Alright, that's it. Now the bottom stays free, the top spins. Now let's talk about this piece. I don't know where I had this laying around, but it just happened to be the right size. It having this little swinger here, and it fits. Here's the rotisserie motor, okay? $30 on Walmart. Took 2 weeks to get, but 2 double D batteries, little switch right out front. This thing actually fits square, 5/16. This actually fits perfectly in there. Okay, and then you just cut to your height that you need, and then I ground this down. You can use a file. I actually had a grinder. Okay, and then what we do is just slide it in here. Tight on my bench here. Got that black thing right in the way back there. There it is. I always like to have the switch facing forward. So there we go. Problem is, I've got this little stand it's on, which is raising it in the back, which is adjusting my height on this thing. So otherwise it fits perfect like that in there. And then you just, let me just put a little stand underneath here or something. So that's it. But again, I should have like a 1/4 inch, like this big heavy thick thing that's on my bench is jacking me up because it's raising it in the back. Okay. So let me get that squared away here or something. Okay guys, here it is operating. When I have it on my platform, you can either put like Velcro underneath this so that you set it on, whatever your platform is, to keep this from spinning, because sometimes it takes a little extra power and otherwise this thing will spin. I put a little rubber bumper on each side, but again, this is just on my workbench for you to see it. When these come around, I'm gonna put the, shut it off. See where my cuts are, try to line this up. I mean, this thing is a tight fit in here. 15 is as big as you can get in here. There's no question. So getting it lined up is a little... Well, we're gonna have to. So there we go with it all hooked up. It's it takes a minute to kind of get it centered on there, but once you do, it works just fine. Once you get it on level surface, you want to make sure that that rod is just poking through 1/4 of an inch. And then you just got to have something just kind of to secure both sides of this, that if it ever has struggled turning it, the black part won't just start spinning on you because it's so light. So, and then of course when you don't want to use it, say, hey, listen, I don't need it anymore. You just turn it off. You can just lift it up a little bit. I fold it down, put it away, and then you could spin it with your hands, with your things if you need it. Get your pizza out. But that's the best I can do for my shop workbench, and to kind of show you how it's put together. But there you go. That's it. And then this piece just, again, mates up underneath there. And you just got to have your proper height set. I would even think that, take into account, like put rubber bumpers maybe on each 4 corners, then take your measurements. So the rubber bumpers maybe just will do that alone, so you don't have to have anything on the sides of it to keep it from spinning on you. But that's all we got for the rotisserie pizza stone here. Hope this helps.